Welcome to the Arcanist Guild. It is here that we research and develop the field of arcania. Arcanima is the science of employing arcane geometries, intricate patterns that map the unlocked mysteries of existence, to draw forth and manipulate the body's etheric energies. If you prefer an arcane art built on structured thought and precise reasoning, then your discerning intellect may find a home here at our guild. Might you consider enrolling yourself as an initiate? Aha, just as I predicted. But before we proceed any further, however, let us first feed your appetite for knowledge with a morsel of guild history. The roots of Arcanima can be traced back to the historic calculations practiced by the people of the South Sea Isles. It was these island folk that first discovered a method to express natural phenomena in mathematical terms. Building on the process, the existing mathematical formula were further developed into arcane geometries, precise patterns that allowed a practitioner to weave aether into specific magical energies and effects. The mages who invoked this new form of magic became known as Arcanists, and the school of Arcanima was born. Many such mages, wishing to expand their understanding of the world, took to the seas aboard trading vessels. Upon their arrival in Limsa Lumensa, Arcanists found themselves welcomed into an academic elite and soon secured positions in the realms of governance and council. The knowledge of an Arcanist, however, is traditionally passed on from master to chosen disciple. As such, Admirable Merlwub, counting several wielders of Arcanima among her personal staff, became concerned that this exclusionary practice would lead to the eventual extinction of the art. So, at the Admiral's express orders, an official Arcanist Guild was established and funding was provided for research and training. The complex and demanding nature of Arcanima, however, remains the greatest threat to its own future. If you invite such cerebral challenges, then you have but to reaffirm your commitment to joining our guild. Well, have you decided to enroll in our guild? Or are you now intimidated by the thought of excessive thinking? Miri wishes you to reaffirm your desire to join the Arcanist Guild. Your sound judgment is to be commended. Now, standard practice dictates that I introduce you to our guildmaster that you might convey your intentions in person. Due to extraordinary circumstances, however, he is unreachable at present. Instead, you may speak with Mistress Therabim. She has shouldered full responsibility for the guild's leadership in the interim. You will find her just over there by the bookshelves. You needn't be shy. Though her mind is sharp and critical, her manner is always most welcoming. Yes, I am Thubsjim. Greetings and welcome to the Arcanist Guild. As Murray has doubtless explained, I am serving as acting guildmaster until our wayward leader deigns to return. I assume our capable receptionist also spoke of our art's origin? Allow me then to expound upon its nature. Arcanima traps into the living energies of aether. The evidence of this is represented most aptly, perhaps, by our ability to manifest the arcane entity carbuncle, and the manner of magic which this ethereal ally employs at our command. The core of the discipline, however, is found in the pursuit of definitive solutions to any potential quandary. Even on the field of battle, nay, especially on the field of battle, the principle takes precedence. If one wishes to make certain the question of victory, then one must apply the most effective strategy. An Arcanist is measured by her ability to calmly analyze a situation from moment to moment and respond with the most appropriate spells at hand. The study of Arcanima will test your mental faculties to the point of perplexity. Are you prepared to reason your way through the predicament after predicament? An unambiguous response, the kind I most prefer. Let us now see if the clarity of your words is matched by the sharpness of your mind. Here, take the grimoire in hand and we shall next judge your aptitude for our discipline. Acting Guildmaster Thubbergin wishes to judge your aptitude for Arcanima. It is a hefty tomb, is it not? I promise you, a grimoire's weight becomes a comforting anchor amidst the shifting seas of battle, a fact you will soon discover. In Lower Lenosha, you will find, among others, 3 species of pest: wharf rats, little ladybugs, and aureliae. I ask that you employ your fledgling skill in Arcanima to eradicate 3 of each type of creature. Leave the city through the Tempest Gate and you will soon encounter the potential targets in abundance. As long as you remain focused, I do not foresee these opponents causing you or your budding abilities undue difficulty. Once you return from completing this preliminary trial, I will welcome you as an official member of the Arcanist Guild. May your judgment remain swift and clear. see the creatures beyond the city walls posed you little threat. It is with great pleasure then that I formally recognize your initiation into the guild. From this day forth, you may proudly bear the title of Arcanist. I suggest you continue your forays into the wilderness and keep the pages of your grimoire turning. There is no finer teacher than the harsh mistress of experience. And when you feel you can command carbuncle as easily as you might move your own limbs, return to me for further instruction. I will be waiting. Acting Guildmaster Thurbridgine wishes to assess the improvement of your Arcanist skills. Ah, Tolucc, isn't it? Are you eating well? An empty stomach distracts the mind and leads to hurried judgment. I must often remind my Arcanists to take meals, so in course that they become in their studies. Speaking of such, have you been practicing your tactics with Carbuncle? I believe it is time to assess the improvement of your skills. As with your previous trial, I would have you defeat foes in Lower Lenosha, 3 wild dodos and 3 tiny mandragoroses, to be precise. Watch carefully the behavior of your opponents. Formulate an effective strategy and utilize your arcane entity to its full potential. I expect you back in time for breakfast. Welcome back, Tolucc. It appears your coordination with Carbuncle is progressing at a satisfactory pace. Shall we test your growing acunimum with a more practical examination? Our work at Melvine's Gate requires us to inspect and record the contents of incoming cargo. To stimulate such a task, I have had several crates transported to the cliff south of the Zypher Gate. I want you to examine those crates, then return the inspected cargo here to me. You'd be surprised at the depths to which some merchants will sink to deter our customs agents from performing thorough investigations. False bottoms, rotting foodstuffs, flesh-eating Valken. I suggest you be prepared for any eventuality. I'm not a threat. Pray ignore my presence for the present and allow me a moment to conjugate. The reaction to my sudden appearance was within expected parameters, but I must admit I did not expect so proficient a performance against the enemies set against you. Yet effective though your tactics were, I spied much room for improvement. As I watched you battle, the wheels of my mind whirled in motion, as they are wont to do, inventing other possible strategies you might have employed. Let's see, taking into account your current level of ability, factoring in the etheric constant, multiplying by the number of opponents, then applying your tactics to other potential combat scenarios. Oh dear, my calculations indicate failure upon encountering threat level 9,785. Well, we'll have to see what we can do about that. Though the opportune window to do so has passed, I would nevertheless introduce myself. I'm Kithilia, a Malvan's Gate Assessor. Acting Guildmaster Thurbigian elected me to oversee your training and provide any necessary guidance and instruction in the field of Arcanima. From what I have observed thus far, you have an admirable grasp of the fundamentals. I do, however, wish to confirm one small detail. Regarding your choice of arcane geometries, what factor most influences your action during battle? I simply do what feels right. Aha! Just as I predicted! And now I have the final element needed to perform another calculation. The probability of you becoming an Arcanist of note is 90%, give or take half a percent. Yes, the certainty is quite high. After all, I only know of one other practitioner who responded to my question in the same manner. It was the man who bestowed upon me this grimoire, the Guildmaster himself. While our inscrutable leader is, as I'm sure you've heard, on an indefinite leave of absence, he did leave us with the most notorious saying to date. Strategy is the tool used to manipulate one situation into one desired reality. No matter how gifted you are and I might be, however, the instantaneous manipulation of reality that might cause us to suddenly become mighty arcanists is beyond our present abilities. Discipline and experience is the finest strategy in this case. I suggest you continue to focus on refining your aptitude with carbuncle mastery. With an arcane entity will greatly improve your success as a wielder of Arcanima. Here ends your lesson for today. Pray return directly to the guild. I believe Mr. Thurbigian is waiting some inspected cargo. And what of myself? I'm off to the fields, of course. The tactics I reasoned out earlier must be attempted in real-life scenarios. Theory is all well and good, but there is no substitute for actual combat. We will meet again soon. Ah, Tolucc, have you returned with the cargo? Yes, everything seems to be in order. Relatively clear of blood and other gore. That can something be of a problem in our profession, you understand. I also heard word from Kilthea regarding your performance. She seemed eager to continue your training. An odd lass, I'll admit, but the guild can boast no finer mind for tactics. You would do well to heed the instruction she offers, particularly that which touches on the diligent approach to our art. Did you perhaps notice the battered tomb Kilthea carries? That initiate's grimoire has served her from the day she entered the guild. She has it for her reasons, but it's admittedly strange to see it kept all the way to her present position as a Foreseer. I fear such an intense focus on Arcanima has led her to overlook other important aspects of life. As our master strategist guides your Arcanist training, I hope that you might return the favor to help her broaden her own perspective somewhat. But enough on such matters for the moment. You have done well this day, Tolucc. Continue your practice with Carbuncle as Kilthea has bid. I will be here when the time has come for your next lesson. Acting Guildmaster Thurbigian wishes to assess your improvement on your Arcanima skills. Yes, Tolucc, the time has come for the next lesson is upon us. You are keeping well, I trust? Taking the occasional brisk walk, one cannot form thoughts if one fails to maintain a sound body. Now, assuming you have been following Kalia's instruction, you should be ready to face the more dangerous threats found in western Lenosha. I speak of roselings and wild jackals, and yes, I would have you vanquish 3 of each. 'Tis the perfect sample size. The first acts as a preliminary test case, the second tests your hypothesis, the third to perfect the tactics you've devised. Speaking of which, I trust your strategy will consist more than simply flinging ruin over and over again. You are not the novice you once were, and your skills in the field ought reflect that. If you were to find yourself wanting for other approaches, consider the effective combination of rune and bio. When timed appropriately, you can deal a crippling blow to your opponent. Welcome back, Tolucc. How did it feel to conquer such ferocious foes? Let us ride that wave of triumph onto even more demanding and dangerous challenge. Your next training exercise will have you accompanying Forseer Kalia on one of her inspections. This experience will afford you the opportunity to witness firsthand the practical application of Arcanima. Do not tarry, Tolucc. Kalia awaits you on the floor below with further details. A timely appearance as I expected. Shall we proceed directly to the job at hand? I've been tasked with examining the wares of a goblin peddler caravan run by the Bolistux family. Our agents suspect these beastmen merchants of dealing in forbidden goods. As such, I've calculated that announcing the inspection has a 60% chance of inviting physical violence. I prepared a strategy to respond to this possible shift into hostilities. But there's an important precondition you should be made aware of before we discuss the finer points of my plan. Though I am considered gifted in the formation of tactics, I lack the reflexes and coordination necessary to employ many of those self-same strategies on the field of battle. Pray, keep this factor in mind and adjust your perceptions accordingly. Now, should the goblins offer battle, you are to execute combat pattern 1345, otherwise known as a stratagem focus fire. You and your Emerald Carbuncle will concentrate your attacks on a single foe, and one by one the enemy will wither upon the combined onslaught. Probability of victory, 95%. Reports place the peddlers in the vicinity of the cookpot in Middle Lenosha. I will depart immediately to assess the situation. Seek me out once you arrive. I am Forseer Kalia of Melvin's Gate. You are to cease all transactions and surrender your goods for inspection. Nasty sneaky peekers! Gobby spit unlepener and all sides on the stabby iron. A predictably aggressive response. Very well, Tolucc. Remember what we discussed. Nicely done. Adaption? Improvisation? I might have been observing our beloved guildmaster himself in action. This was the perfect example of how the strategy for a given task should be tailored to the abilities of the accessor. In other words, before you begin to formulating your tactics, it's necessary to fully understand your own strengths and weaknesses. On that note, there's another question I would ask you. When it comes to improving the probable success of a strategy, do you consider it more effective to concentrate on playing to your strengths or shoring up your weaknesses? Covering my weaknesses. Oh, again, you respond as the guildmaster once did. I must revise the probability for your potential to attain greatness to 97%. You are one to keep an eye on, that much is certain. But to return to the subject of battle plans, your calculations must include an accurate assessment of your available techniques and to their relative effectiveness. This requires you to be critically aware of your own limits, the limits of your allies, and the characteristics of your enemies. I believe that covers everything for today. Pray return to the guild and make your report to Mistress Thibergine. Until we meet again. I shall abide here until the Yellow Jackets arrive to take the peddlers into custody. My strategies will keep me company. Back from the field, Tolucc? Kalia contacted me with a summary of events. It seems you were treated to a lecture on knowing thyself. That particular lesson is ordinarily taught only to the intermediate practitioners. Without a sufficient store of combat expertise from which to draw, it is difficult to fully appreciate the profundity of such a seemingly simple truth. Nevertheless, I feel confident that you will soon be ready for a more ambitious assignment. Keep to your studies and maintain the razor edge of your mind. Acting Guildmaster Thibergine wishes to inform you of an important task. You seem tired, Tolucc. Are you sleeping properly? One's reasoning can suffer without sufficient rest and recuperation. Should you deem yourself fit for duty, pray make your way down to the practice floor, for Sir Kalia has requested you accompany her on another official inspection. There is, however, a requirement for your participation. The Forester will explain the situation. I was beginning to think I'd miscalculated, Tolucc. Thank you for coming. I will soon be boarding a trading vessel suspected of smuggling. All merchant ships that make use of Limsa Lamensa's ports are subject to inspection by Malvan's gate assessors. It is a routine I perform daily. In the case of smugglers, however, there is a 75% probability of encountering resistance. Thus, I would appreciate your company during this assignment. It is now that we must discuss the requirement of which you were informed. Though I have full confidence in your martial expertise, it is imperative that you first acquire the ability to summon Topaz Carbuncle. Such knowledge will be released to you contingent on the acceptance of this duty. Very good. The arcane entity given form by the Topaz geometry excels in the defensive techniques. With such an ally at your command, the potential for injury, in even the most brutal of battles, can be significantly reduced. Indeed, we could not conduct these dangerous spot inspections without its support. Please return to Mistress Thibergine and inform her of your participation. I will join you once I have completed some final adjustments on my tactical formula. You have agreed to accompany the Forester? Then I shall gladly instruct you in the use of the Topaz Carbuncle. Think of this entity as a shield, and be sure to impose it between you and your enemies should the inspection turn sour. Acting Guildmaster Thibergine is awaiting your arrival of the inspection party members. The mercenaries Grefsen and Eriththada are here to assist with the inspection. Both are old hands when it comes to escorting Kalia during her more dangerous duties. Well met, Tolucc. My spells are at your disposal. This won't be the first time we're expecting trouble, but as long as we follow the Forester's tactics and keep a clear head, we'll come through just fine. The Morning Star is preparing to dock in Ailport. We will meet our first challenge, however, before we even board the vessel. It is almost certainty that the merchant ship was hired by a thug or two to accost us at the pier. I calculate the probability at 98%. The crew wish to avoid attacking us on deck, you see. That would put all the trumpet their criminal intentions to the world at large. Now, once we do manage to clear the rails, we'll face a deck crowded with armed sailors. For a small party such as ours, the most effective strategy will be to incapacitate individual foes as swiftly as possible. Each opponent we down is one less weapon raised against us. It is imperative that we do not allow ourselves to become tangled in multiple drawn-out skirmishes, lest we be overwhelmed. I call this stratagem Hammerfall. Strategy is the tool used to manipulate one situation into a desired reality. Keep those words in mind, Tolucc. It is time we departed. Let us regroup before the main gates of Ailport. Let us be about our task, Tolucc. Pray, inform the steersman at the pier that we are ready to conduct our inspection. Should violence be offered, you are to execute stratagem Hammerfall. Do not forget, your tactics are both your shield and your weapon. You're with the folks from the Malvin's Gate? Hells. I knew there'd be trouble. Well then, I'm certainly glad to see that you can handle yourself. You'll find the landing boat just down here at the end of this ramp. I'll have no part of what comes next, though. Deftly handled, Tolucc. Once again, I am reminded of our guildmaster. Thanks to your efficient response, we'll be able to commence this inspection earlier than I had calculated. We shall board the merchant vessel out in the bay. Aristoda, if you would take the rudder, the Morning Star awaits. Since their welcoming party at the pier failed to deter us, I expect that the probability of 85% that our arrival will incite further belligerence. Our objective, however, is not to trade blows but to gain access to the hold. It may behoove us to employ stratagem Hardhead. The aim of our opponents is to buy time so that suspect goods may be tossed into the ocean. I do not intend to give them that time. We will bull our way towards the cargo hold as quickly as we can. It is a tactic fraught with risk, but one your mere presence makes possible. Shall we begin? I am Forcer Clea. By the authority of Malvin's Gate, I request that you surrender your goods for assessment. Well now, your timing could have been worse, lass. The old doors are all rusted up, you see. Bloody thing won't open. You'll have to come back another day after we fix the hinges. I will see that cargo now. Any vessel entering a port of Limsa Laminsa is bound by law to submit to a routine inspection. The law is the law? Lads, I reckon it's time our guests had themselves a little accident. Bitch 'em over the side. A masterful display, Tolucc. Now we can finally gain access to their cargo. Oof. What have we here, then? It's one of the bitch admiral's lapdogs scampering about me ship. You're just like your mistress, always sticking your nose where it ain't invited. No, it can't be. Ha! Recognized me pretty face, did you? But you were caught, exiled. Forcer, are you hurt? Can you stand? Stay back. You stay away from me. Forcer, please calm down. What are your orders? I've had enough of your whimpering, and I've certainly had enough of these bloody books. It's clear you ain't learning anything from them. Reckon it's time to have got a different kind of lesson. Ah! Get there! Norfolk, preserve us. She's fainted. We must withdraw. Tolucc, quickly! Back to the boat. We'll carry the force here. Ah, that's right. You slink on back to your mistress, you worthless curs. Yeah, haha. good to see you well, Tolucc. Griffson sent word ahead of your travails. An unfortunate turn of events, but considering the infamous Blackheart you faced, you might have faced much worse. Have you heard of the pirate Dosamaga? He was exiled from Limsa Laminsa some years ago, but it appears he has chosen to defy the Admiral's orders. And once more he dares to lay a hand on Forcer Kalia? That poor lass must have been terrified. If I had known Dosamaga was aboard the ship, I never would have assigned her that duty. The accessor may require some time to recover. For Kalia, that man is a nightmare made flesh. Though her physical wounds will soon mend, there's little we can do to salve the hurt into her mind. You're concerned? Angry, mayhap? Harness that energy and channel it into your training. I predict we shall be needing your skills again before long. Acting Guildmaster Tharbajime appears unusually distressed. Greetings, Tolucc. In case such doubts fill your mind, you should know that I am ever willing to lend an ear if you find your thoughts troubled. At the very least, I would have you know this because it seems Kalia does not. The Force here has been missing since this morning. There has been other times when she has disappeared without a word, but we've always been able to find her. Alas, that is not the case this day. Were the Guildmaster here, he could deduce her whereabouts with nary a moment's concentration. I find myself beginning to wonder if those who devote themselves overmuch to Arcanima are more prone to the bouts of wanderlust. But while I might wish to ponder further such oddities of character, we must needs organize a search party. Would you be so kind as to make inquiries in Hawker's Alley? It's not uncommon for Kalia's wanderings to take a path along the market. You seek a Mikoto, agent of the Malvin's Gate? Why, yes, I've seen her. Spoke with her, in fact. She was, however, apprehended by the Yellow Jackets. The assessor was drilling me for details about a Quaker smuggling Reen based in Ailport, but then the soldiers arrived and took her away. If you wish to know her fate, then I suggest you speak with Gradan at the Coral Tower. Forcer Kalia? Yes, we brought her in for questioning regarding the reappearance of the pirate Dosamaga. A member of the Arcanist Guild, are you? Then I see no reason to conceal the nature of our disclose. Perhaps you are already aware of this, but the force here was once held captive by the rabid sea dog. Few pirates sink to such depths of depravity as Dosamaga. It has been 6 years now since he was exiled from Limsa Laminsa for engaging in the worst kind of black market trading, and now the villain has returned. He is, however, both cunning and cautious, and continues to evade our troops. Thus, we hope to borrow the knowledge from Forcer Kalia, whose experiences have given her an intimate familiarity with the way the scoundrel operates. At least, that was our intent. After weathering a barrage of questions from the assessor, we found ourselves, instead, providing the details of our search. Should you wish to speak with Forcer Kalia, I imagine she has already returned safely to your guild. Back already? You were led to believe she returned here? I'm afraid not. So the Yellow Jackets told you something of her history with Dosamaga, did they? Perhaps it'd be best if I told you the entire tale. Dosamaga's banishment was the result of a surprise inspection that revealed his involvement in underground slave trade. The assessor that stepped aboard the pirate's merchant ship spoke of finding dozens of unwashed unfortunates crammed into a squalid hold. Among these prisoners was a young Mikote, destined for some black market auction block. Though Kalia was initially too terrified to even speak, the Guildmaster brought her out of her fearful days with the gift of an initiate's grimoire. Yes, the self-slain tomb that she has carried for her entire career. Of course. Did you mention that Kalia's grimoire was thrown into the sea? There are rumors that a Quaker merchant of ill repute has retrieved the black market's goods the crew of the Morning Star heaved into the ocean. Even now, he gloats over his self-encrusted catch in Aleport. It is entirely possible that the Force Seer's most prized possession was caught up in the Qui-Curn salvage net. I have no doubt now that Kalia has reached the same conclusion. To Aleport with you, Tolucc. That is where you will find our wayward assessor. Yes. Combat pattern 256 should serve to cover all expected contingencies. You never know when you'll have to nullify a thaumaturge or two. My revival strategy is complete. Tolucc, it is good of you to come. I was unable to calculate for certain if you would piece together my movements. Very little is certain when so many variables are involved. But there's good news. The prisoner here was kind enough to confirm that the trader who salvaged the Morning Star's jettisoned cargo did indeed retrieve a tomb matching the description of my lost grimoire. Limits in law and the policies of Malvin's guild would support the quantification of goods connected to an official inspection, but alas, my personal belongings do not fall under that definition. Thus, I intend to launch an unofficial offensive against the Black Marketeer and his cronies. The peddler has already departed for Candlekeep Quay. It is time I gathered to me such allies as I possess, and I count you as one of them, Tolucc. Despite the nature of this endeavor, Mistress Thurbajime has offered me her cooperation. If you would pray join her at Ocean's Embrace, that is where we shall ambush this disreputable Qui-Curn. Greetings, Tolucc. Your arrival completes our small company. You are equipped for battle, I trust? We need not await Cathaly's arrival. Once the Qui-Curn appears on the bridge, we'll spring our ambush. The strategy for trapping our target relies on two allies we have concealed on the other side of the ravine. The pincer maneuver was naturally the Force Seer's idea. As for the target himself, the Qui-Curn is known as a careful and cautious fellow. He travels with a small retinue so as to avoid attracting attention, but do not be fooled. More bodyguards follow at a distance and will likely join the fray after hostilities ensue. Do not, however, expect any assistance from the Yellow Jackets. They cannot be seen aiding us in what amounts to a personal matter, but they are willing to turn a blind eye for Kalia's sake. In any case, the Force Seer's tactics count for our limited numbers and individual strengths. Victory is all but assured. Now, let us take up our positions and wait for the Qui-Curn to arrive. Well executed, everyone. Were you able to retrieve my grimoire? Tolucc, pray hand over the grim. It's ruined. My wonderful grimoire is ruined. The probability of repairing this degree of damage is 0%. Even the most brilliant strategy cannot undo such ravages of seawater. I've never felt so defeated. I believe it is time I returned home. Leave her be. But how can I? He is right, Aristoda. You must allow Clea time to process the loss. And you have other matters to attend. Come, Tolucc. It is time we return to the guild as well. Not quite the victory we imagined, was it? The moment Clea beheld her soaked and tattered grimoire, you could see the light of hope die in her eyes. There is, however, something we can do. I will call on your aid soon, but in the meantime you would do well if you serve to deepen your knowledge of the Arcanist. Acting Guildmaster Thurbajime would have you use your assistance in tracking down a certain someone. Have you come to ask about Clea's condition? The Foreseer is unchanged. She walks about as if all joy in her life has been leached from her soul. I believe the only one who can help her now is the same person who broke Clea out of her shell the first time, our absent Guildmaster. And, though I am leery of his coincidence, the man himself has not at long last been spotted. Should you seek out his last known location, it is unlikely he will still be there, and even should you catch him, he may not deign to speak with you. Nevertheless, this may be our only chance. Pray travel to Memorune's trading post in Upper Lenosha, and speak with anyone who might have seen the Guildmaster. Oh, and one more thing. Though he prefers us not to use it for some inexplicable reason, our leader's name is Caridtia. Evening, miss. Aye, I was the one that sent word to your guild about spotting your leader. It is a right rare sight to see Caridtia roaming about. He asked me for way of Thalos. Could he be seeking to speak with a scholar who lives out there? Hello there. Why, yes, I did receive a visit from a gentleman identifying himself as the Arcanist Guildmaster. An odd fellow, but obviously possessed of a well-rounded education. As it so happens, he bid me pass on a message to anyone who came searching for him. Reunited, the 3 slips of parchment hold the problem to the solution. The Guildmaster mentioned that the slips of parchment are concealed among the bones of Thalos. I suppose you are expected to search for them? Have you tracked down those 3 slips of parchment? Interesting. They actually exist. To be perfectly honest, I thought you had been, well, sent on a wild dodo chase. Let's have a look at these, shall we? Well, penned in ancient Allegan, no less. Fortunately for you, I have a passing familiarity with the script. Seek the box at Fool Falls, dance a jig for your wooden audience, claim the secret from the opened heart. A most cryptic set of instructions, I must say. Do you intend to follow them? This guildmaster of yours certainly enjoys his games. If there are answers you would seek, then to the trading post now go. Before the owner, be not meek. With your 2 feet, provide a show. Funny me Cody dance. Funny dance. You dance funny dance too? Ah, now that was the most entertaining. I must have something to amuse me during these little jaunts back to civilization, you understand? Based on my evaluation of your abilities, however, I calculated that you would arrive at this point somewhat earlier. You balked at the dancing, didn't you? I never expected you to be so shy. Another variable to add to your list of characteristics. I keep extensive mental notes of all the guild's members, you see. As an Arcanist, it was a simple matter to engineer events so that I might meet you face to face. After all, strategy is a tool used to manipulate one's situation into a desired reality. And I do so enjoy seeing others dance in the palm of my hand, as it were. Here, you may have this. Think of it as a payment for your performance. Though you might consider passing the tomb on to Kia, that is the reason you sought me out, was it not? Before you give Kia the grimoire, however, I must insist that you dance for her. I will know if you don't. All this banal interaction has simply exhausted me. It is time I return to my studies. You, on the other hand, should travel forthwith to the anchor yard in Limsa. Be well, Tolucc. We shall meet again. I'm 100% certain of it. Were you always one for dancing? I don't recall any such You must have met with our guildmaster, haven't you? That would explain your odd behavior. He does so enjoy seeing people perform unexpected acts of frivolity. But what could have spurred our recipient guildmaster to speak with you in person? He gave you this grimoire to give to me? Uncanny. It is identical to the tomb I received the first time I met our leader. You have my thanks, Tolucc. The guildmaster is fond of games and mischief, and I understand the troublesome trials he likely put you through before deeming you worthy of his attention. With this gift, however, his message to me is abundantly clear. I am to shape reality into the one I desire. And that means defeating Dosmaga. Gods, my mind is alive again with strategies. I must have time to think. Pray, inform Mr. Thurberheim of my return to duty. Gilia has recovered from her despondency. That is wonderful news, and we have you to thank for it. It is unfortunate, however, that both Kalia and our guildmaster are possessed of such impenetrable personalities. But at least in the case of the Force here, we have an inkling as to the nature of the cage that imprisons her. I continue to hope that our partnership with you shall gradually pry those bars apart. Return to your training, Tolucc, and prepare yourself for the demanding tactics Kalia is sure to formulate in the days ahead. Acting Guildmaster Thurberheim has instructions for you from Foreseer Kalia. I've been expecting you, Tolucc. As ever, Kalia predictions prove accurate almost down to the moment, and with her mind especially sharp with such a dangerous confrontation in the offering. The Yellow Jackets have connected us with the words of Dosmaga. It appears his merchant vessel is presently anchored off the coast of the Bloodshore. Once the pirate's business there is concluded, rumor has it he intends to embark on an extended voyage to the east. It'll be some time before he returns once more to Limsa Lominsa. If we pass this opportunity, Kalia will lose her chance to settle the score with Dosmaga. Then we risk the Force here stumbling once more into this blankest melancholy. Simply getting close enough to Dosmaga will prove difficult. Kalia has, however, already formulated a solution and has set her grand strategy into motion. Your first task in this undertaking is to travel to Costa del Sol and deliver this set of directions to a fisherman by the name of Rilzoin. More instructions will be forthcoming. What was it you want, lass? As you can see, I've had me hands full with me fishing. Ah, thanks for that. I've been told to expect you. You're to take one of me earrings and deliver it to the cook, Opilona. Yes, and how might I help you? Master Gegaruju is expecting his breakfast any moment now. A fresh herring? Why, the master does enjoy a bit of broiled fish of the morning. This might even earn me a few extra coins for this week's wages. Well, you have earned yourself one of my homemade eel pies. I should tell you, though, your Arcanist colleague was quite insistent that you take the pie to Master Gegaruju rather than scoff it down yourself. And what brings you to my, and I use the term facetiously, humble abode, dear madam? Such a heavenly aroma. Are you perchance carrying an eel pie about your person? How commendable that you should research the delicacies that tickle my fancy before daring to intrude upon my most ponderous of ponderings. Speaking of ponderous, well, I was speaking of it at least. I have a hefty purse of gold to persuade you to relinquish the claim on that pastry. One moment, if you will. I have been instructed by a Malvian's Gate assessor to hand over the message to whoever delivers an eel pie to Master Gegaruju. Take the purse you received from Master Gegaruju and hand it to the dancer, Ildgith, as she prepares to return home. Clea. Yes? If you're looking for a dancer, then I'd be... First see your coin. I have 3 children to feed and no time to waste on idle chat. Oh my, that is quite a purse. My precious darlings like kings this week. And such a simple job as well. I was told to expect you see, in return for the coin I am to give you these. The leather satchel is from Mikoto friend and the Peroni is from me. The last item you are to deliver to Drogo, the warehouse foreman. I ain't got time for the likes of you. If I don't get me work squared away soon, the master will have me head on a pike, yeah? You got something for me, you say? Hey now, ain't this Ildgith's burial? That Mikoto lass said someone would be bringing me a gift what I couldn't refuse and stick me with a pitchfork if she weren't telling the gods the own truth. Here, you're supposed to have this bottle of wine. Take it to the Flying Shark and pour a cup for the sailors what are drinking there. That's what she told me to tell you, any road. I'd watch me back if I was you, though, lass. Them sailors are the meanest bunch of cutthroats I ever did see. You want me to taste your wine, eh? Well, now I ain't one to pass up free grog. Lyman States, now that's a bloody fine drop. If we ship this stuff to the east, we'll be selling bottles by the crate. You're coming back with us to the Morning Star. The captain will want to have a word with you. There's a good lass, and as for you, Miss Dancer, you stick close to old Harriscat. It gets damn cold on them long sea voyages. Shh, we'll talk later. You ready then? We'll be off as soon as the boat's loaded. Ah, fine grog and a fine woman. The captain will be pleased with this haul. Pray do not stare so. This was the most expedient method of gaining access to the ship. I will take that satchel from you now. You may have it back after I take the items I need. What mischief are you two about? I was merely borrowing some clothes. You wouldn't wish me to catch a chill from this brisk ocean air, would you? You'll be dancing yourself warm once we get them on the ship, lass. You better slip off that ratty robe before you meet the captain. Of course, of course. I'll be happy to show him the performance that awaits. That bitch Admiral's lapdog. Come back for your lesson, have you? It is I who shall be teaching this day. My lecture will focus on the manipulation of reality through applied strategy. Enough of this damn yapping. By the time I'm done with you, you'll remember who your real master is. You rabid little cur! Our numbers matter not. It is the strategy that will win this battle. Prepare yourself, Dosmaga. With your defeat, will I cast off the shackles you closed on my soul. You think so, eh? Think your fancy magics will match your blade? You've got another thing coming. Dosmaga now faces defeat. He will flee to the starboard rail. Obvious. Next comes his attempt to escape into the sea. You think you're pulling me strings, do you? Think I'll dance to your tune? Well, I ain't falling for your bloody tricks. It is at this moment he notices the yellow jackets I had you summon in my explicit instructions to Rilzern. You are a fool to return, Dosmanga. I hear you're fond of shackles, so we brought a set especially for you. Thus concludes today's lecture. Thank you, Tolucc. This strategy would not have succeeded without your flawless execution. Which suggests that my tactics yet may require more work. One must allow for some small deviation in performance. I believe, however, that I now understand where my calculations went awry. It is not enough to wish to shape reality, one must also have a complete understanding of the reality one wishes to obtain. It is time I sought out our guildmaster. Pray, convey to Miss Thurajine my fondest wishes and my appreciation for all that she has done for me. The true test of my strategies now begins. Welcome back, Tolucc. There's much I would ask you, but first, may I have the satchel you received during your assignment? The original owner needs her costume back, you see. I'll make sure everything is returned safe and sound. Now, let us speak of Kalia. I'm glad to know that she finally freed herself to pursue her heart's desire, and you are to thank for awakening the Forseer to her self-imposed fetters. The brilliance of Kalia's strategy served to blind her own feelings, and it pained me to see her suffer so. Your example may even encourage Kalia to improve her combat abilities, although such will surely come in time. After all, she intends to study under the Guildmaster's direct instruction. Imagine those two obsessive Arcanists and the complexity of the tactics they'll develop. It may very well be your actions in bringing them together that'll prove to be the catalyst that sparks a new era of invention in the art of Arcanima. You too should look to improvement of your discipline. If you are to keep pace with it all, that is certain to follow. To that end, I offer you new technique, one that allows you to wide effect a wide wrath on the battlefield and drain the life force of your foes.